thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the regularly scheduled virtual meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. Today is the 5th of January, 2022, and it is 7:02 p.m. Members present tonight are Dick Peterson, Kia Baskerville, Elizabeth Conger. My name is Jimmy Praley. Also with us tonight, we have City Attorney Michael Lyles and Deputy City Clerk Cynthia Gaines. First order is the approval of the minutes. Has the board had the opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting, December 1st, 2021? And if so, any additions, corrections, or modifications?
I move they be accepted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes will stand as approved. Before we begin our regular business, we'll state for the record that since this is a virtual hearing, anybody who wishes to submit public testimony may do so by way of written testimony, which needs to be submitted and will be submitted as part of the official record. Anybody wishing to submit written testimony can do so by going to www.annapolis.gov/ABC. First item in our new business tonight is an application for a new license by Lynx LLC, trading as Game On, with the location of 114 West Street, Annapolis, Maryland 21401. We have an application for a new alcoholic beverage license, Class B4 beer, wine, and liquor, on sale only with meals 6 a.m. to 12 midnight, 7 days a week, with a special Sunday license by Paul Skrikas and Eli Linthicum for the premises known as Lynx LLC, trading as Game On, located at 114 West Street, Annapolis, Maryland 21401. Mr. Dales, good to see you this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so anyone who's planning on testifying, if you could just raise your right hand and I'll swear everybody in.
Guys, unmute your microphones too, guys.
All right, thanks. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct? Paul, we'll start with you.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Linthicum?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and if, Paul, we'll go back to you. If you could just give us your name and address for the record, and Mr. Linthicum will ask you to do that right afterwards, okay?
Sure. Paul Andrew Skrikas, last name spelled S-K-R-I-C-K-U-S. My current address is 538 Bay Green Drive in Arnold, 21012.
Mr. Linthicum, the same thing.
My name is Eli Sachs Linthicum. Last name is spelled Linthicum. And my address is 12353 Pan Springs Court, Ellicott City, Maryland 21042. We just moved here.
No problem. Thank you very much. Mr. Dales, we'll turn it over to you. You can begin your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We're going to proceed tonight with a combination of proffer and testimony, and I will proffer that the application materials that the board members have received is accurate and fully addresses the criteria for the license that we're requesting. I'll also proffer to you that Mr. Linthicum and Mr. Skrikas are fit and proper people to hold a license. And with that, then I will proceed with testimony through questions first to Mr. Skrikas. So Mr. Skrikas, you've already been asked to swear the oath and read your name and address into the record, but if you would please repeat that now just for the transcript, if there were one needed. Please just state your name and address again for the record.
Sure. My full name is Paul Andrew Skrikas. Again, my last name S-K-R-I-C-K-U-S. My current address is 538 Bay Green Drive in Arnold, Maryland, zip code 21012.
Okay, and so you are a resident of the county with at least 2 years of residency here, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. And you are an applicant for the B4 beer, wine, and liquor license at 114 West Street. It's the subject of the hearing tonight.
Yes,
correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Thank you. And you're a member of the LLC, Lynx LLC applicant that's requesting the license?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And are you a licensee on any other alcoholic beverage licenses in the state of Maryland?
No, I'm not.
Okay, and it's my understanding that you're not going to be in the business every day or part of the daily operations. Nonetheless, you do understand that you are still responsible for any violations that would occur under this license, if any occur, correct?
That is correct. That is my understanding.
And you have generally familiarized yourself with the rules and regulations that govern alcoholic beverage licenses in the city of Annapolis and in Maryland.
That is also correct, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Skrikis. Mr. Linthicum, if you could unmute your microphone, I would also ask you to, just for the purposes of any potential transcript, read your name and address into the record.
Eli Sachs Linthicum, and it's 12353 Pan Springs Road, Ellicott City, Maryland. Court. It's Court, Ellicott City, Maryland, 21042.
Okay, and like Mr. Skrikis, you are also a licensee applicant for the B4 beer, wine, and liquor license we're talking about here tonight.
Yes,
Thanks. And you are a member of Links LLC, correct?
correct.
All right, Mr. Linthicum, could you please give the board a little understanding of your background in the restaurant industry? Have you been involved with restaurants in the past?
Yes. So I have been a general manager of many restaurants, starting in New York City. I ran 3 restaurants in New York City. I moved to Maryland, opened a restaurant in Columbia, Maryland, ran that for 3 years. Then switched to operations, ran operations for a restaurant group in Baltimore City. And now we're opening up a new space.
Great. And you are not a licensee on any other Anne Arundel County liquor licenses, is that correct?
Correct.
Or in the city of Annapolis, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Now, if you would just give the board a little bit of context here for the concept you're planning on for 114 West Street, I think that would be very helpful. So just a little bit about what the restaurant is going to be like, the concept for the menu, and the theme of the restaurant, if you will.
Okay. So we are looking to do a restaurant bar / gaming concept for the restaurant. We're looking to with an outdoor space. We're also going to have outdoor seating. So we're looking to do like American fare food, handheld kind of gourmet style food. We're looking to partner with some local vendors for food in the area, and then local beer and wine for beers and wines. Maybe not so local wines because they're not so amazing, but other wines. And then go ahead, Phil.
Well, just to fill in some of the details on the restaurant space, it's my understanding that there are less than 50 seats, which is the relevant restriction here, with approximately 37 being indoor at the high tops, 4-seaters in the bar, and 12 being outside on the sidewalk.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. And proceed, though. I didn't mean to cut you off as you were telling us about the concept.
No. And then we're looking to do like a gaming concept. So having a few arcade games, like gaming consoles around. So people aren't just going to a bar or a restaurant and sitting there and drinking for hours at a time. That's giving them something else to do, which is a little bit more fun than just the regular old bar scene.
With that active crowd, are you developing a plan to manage the circulation of people in the restaurant to keep people, either in their seating area or at the gaming machines that you're going to use for your concept?
So we are going to have wait staff that are going to be going around to bring orders and food and bar service to those patrons. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Just how are you going to keep the pedestrian circulation clear and safe, and keep people from blocking the waiters and the servers' paths?
So we're gonna have high tops around for people to sit at. We have set up the location to be very clear on like where you walk, where you stand, where you sit. It's a very cool venue. I don't know if anyone's ever been to it, but that venue is amazing. Tall ceilings, bright lights. It's not very congested how we have the plan set up. If that's
And I will proffer to the board, this is the old firehouse building that was formerly the Chesapeake Brewing Company, and before that, the Purple Tooth. That's a good segue. Mr. Linthicum, could you tell the board a little bit about the need you saw for this concept and therefore this license in Annapolis, in this specific location?
So Annapolis is a fun city. I mean, people are looking for things to do. It has the hotel right next door. It has the Naval Academy. It has a young crowd. It has people who are looking to go out. So when my wife and I were doing like the restaurant analysis and trying to figure out where we wanted to go, we thought Annapolis it's close that we can drive to, Annapolis would be the spot. It's just it's a family friendly city with the ability to have a younger crowd as well.
Thanks. And I would tell the board that, again, that we've proffered the information and the application is true and accurate and covers the requirements for this license. But the two prior licenses here indicate to you that we would hope that this is the replacement of an existing need that's already been proved many times. And the additional need is what Mr. Linthicum is speaking to here for a alcoholic beverage license associated with this particular concept, which he feels is well needed and in demand for the city. So, Mr. Linthicum, let me get to some technicalities. Are you alcohol awareness trained yourself?
I am, yes.
And crowd management training? Did you receive that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And will you testify before the board that your staff will always have someone alcohol awareness trained and crowd trained on staff at all times?
I'm certifying all of my staff in all of them, so everyone knows what to do.
Good, thank you. And in terms of controlling the customers that come in and out of the restaurant and keeping the noises and effects on the community inside the restaurant, when we outside of the tables, the dining only that's outside, how do you plan to control ingress egress?
So my son is a local police officer in the area. He's adopted. I'm not old enough to have a son who's a police officer. But he is a local police officer. He has a lot of friends that are Annapolis City police officers and Arundel County police officers. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of use them as off-duty police officers to help out and secure on busy nights or buyouts. So Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, making sure that we want it to be good. We want people to come in and feel good about what they're coming in for, and we don't want people to be nervous or uncomfortable ever. So we'll have security.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Linthicum. I think we'll conclude our case there and open up for any questions that the members of the board may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dales. This really is a question posed at any of you. How's construction coming along? How's the build out coming along?
Mr. Linthicum can answer that.
Good. It's a little slow with the coronavirus, but it's going well. We are moving forward. Is that the best way? I don't know how to say that any better.
That's a very fair way of putting it. I completely understand. Do you guys have a projected opening date? And if so, when would you want to pick up this license if approved?
If approved, I'd pick up the license as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then we are looking to hopefully open early to mid-February, so soon.
Mr. Linthicum, let me interject there and just say that, I would counsel that we set this as a February 28th pickup date, just because there's a clock that begins to roll, Mr. Linthicum, as I've mentioned, and you'll have only 2 potential renewal periods of 6 months each. So let's set the clock at a reasonable time and say we'd ask for a February 28th pickup, if that's acceptable.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, February 20th. Great. That's all I have. I'll turn it over to the board to see if they have any additional questions.
Well, Mr. Dale, I thank you for telling us or asking the question about the location. I appreciate that because I am familiar with that location. I wasn't in there with the previous owners. Do you have kitchen facilities now?
I'm sorry, Phil.
That's all right, Mr. Linthicum, you can answer. There were formerly kitchen facilities. Mr. Linthicum is doing some work on those facilities. Go ahead, Eli.
Yeah, so Phil answered that correctly. So we are revamping the kitchen. The kitchen wasn't up to our standards, so we are taking care of what needs to be taken care of to make it as
Okay.
cleanly.
And I compliment you on telling us that your whole staff is going to be tips trained, which we really appreciate.
Any additional questions from the board?
No, I don't really have any questions. I read about this a few weeks ago, and I have been to the prior restaurants that have been there before. I have nothing but high hopes for this property, and I'm excited for you guys. I hope it works out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I will say one thing, we did receive an opposition, which is part of the official record, from a gentleman by the name of Charles Parker, who lives at 141 West Street, Unit 202. His opposition, and I'll paraphrase, is he's worried about substance overdoses and deaths in this portion of the West Street corridor. He further requests that the board halt all new applications until after the COVID-19 pandemic and establish a commission to conduct a comprehensive study on the impact of alcohol-based businesses in Annapolis to determine if there's a correlation between the increase in alcohol availability and disorderly conduct, crackheads, and crime in Annapolis. So I just wanted to make it clear for the record that the board did receive that. And Mr. Dales, I just wanted you to be aware of that. That's
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for the board's benefit, so there is a response from the applicant. We take the position that a vacant building and the lack of eyes on the street would exacerbate any potential problems from people who are loitering or lingering around on the street who may be struggling with addiction issues, and that activating the space, lighting it, having people there and actively engaging from the building to the sidewalk is likely to relieve some of those conditions. And that's what we find in most city environments, and it's what we would expect here. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions from members of the board before we turn it over for a vote?
I have none.
All right.
None.
Well, with none, do I hear a motion for this application for a new alcoholic beverage license, a Class B4 beer, wine, and liquor on sale only with meals, 6 a.m. to 12 midnight, 7 days a week, by Paul Skrikus and Eli Linthicum for the premises known as Links LLC, trading as Game On, located at 114 West Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401, with the projected pickup date of February 28th, 2022.
Forward the motion.
Is there a second?
I second. He is on.
He is on mute, and I think she was saying second.
yeah.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Your
Yeah,
request.
you're still on mute.
All right, I got it now. I'm sorry. Motion to approve for the record.
All right. The motion carries. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is a seasonal extension request for licensed premises at the Eastport Democratic Club. We have a request for a 2022 calendar year seasonal extension of licensed premises with food and beverage service, the consumption of alcoholic beverages, and occasional live music for members and guests of the Eastport Democratic Club from opening until 10 p.m. for the Eastport Democratic Club, located at 525 State Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403. And before we hear from Mr. Forney, I just want to put it on the record that normally we are a board of 5. Currently, we are a board of 4 with the resignation of one of our members at the last meeting. 2 of the board members, Mr. Peterson and Ms. Baskerville, are members of the Eastport Democratic Club. I believe that they can hear this matter fairly and render a decision impartially. However, if there's anybody who has an issue with Mr. Peterson or Ms. Baskerville hearing this matter, I would ask, that they submit some documentation or request to the board for consideration. Mr. Forney, if you have any issues with either Mr. Peterson or Ms. Baskerville hearing this matter, you need to address the board when you're called forward.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Sir, just wanted to make sure that they were not officers. If we could have that on the record, whether they are officers or not.
Mr. Peterson, are you an officer of the Eastport Democratic Club?
I am a member of the board of directors. I'm not an officer of the executive committee.
Okay. Ms. Baskerville, same question.
I am not. I'm just a regular member on no board association.
Just wanted to make sure that was on the record. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Lyles. All right. So, Mr. Forney, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Can you turn your camera on, sir?
I don't know how to do that.
There should be a button in the bottom left that's
Oh,
got
I see
video camera.
There we go.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much. If you could just give us your name and address for the record.
All right, Dana Forney, 1169 Bay Highlands Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
And Mr. Forney, you heard my spiel about conflicts previously. Do you have an issue with Miss Baskerville or Mr. Peterson hearing this?
I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're requesting?
Well, every year we, during the like spring and summer, we have outside drinking on the patios and seating areas around the, in the front of our building and on the side. And we're trying to request with COVID and all that, a lot of people don't want to come in the building. So they'd like to sit outside, even though we have 6 inches of snow outside. But we'd like to continue to open for the outside consumption of liquor, through the calendar year of 2022.
And no changes from what you guys did last year?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions from the board about this request?
I just want to make sure, ask if, in terms of security on, every evening or day basis, like how is that going to work?
Tell you the truth, if we have people sitting outside, it's maybe 20 people or less. And we have, one of the officers or board members always stationed outside. We're all tip certified. We had somebody tried to walk out the other day, after it was over, and we snapped him right up, no alcohol outside right now, so we keep an eye on everything.
Any additional questions about this request for Mr. Forney? All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion regarding this request for 2022 calendar year seasonal extension of licensed premises with food, beverage, service, and the consumption of alcohol and occasional live music for members and guests of the Eastport Democratic Club from opening until 10 p.m. to the Eastport Democratic Club, which is located at 525 State Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
Yes. I guess forward. Sorry.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Forney, it passes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that is the last item of our agenda. We do have a couple matters to discuss in an executive session, so I would move that we go off the record and reconvene in an executive session.
I'll second that.
All those in